Hello all, here's a quick video on how to complete the themes in Charles and the First Rule of Punk, short answer response, otherwise known as a SAR. So the first thing you're going to do is, if you haven't already, you're going to go into Google Classroom and go down to ReadWorks and Common Lit. You're going to open up the story that says Charles short story and read this text. Remember, it's about a little boy, Corey, who's coming home and telling his parents about all these naughty things this boy named Charles is doing in class. Okay, so after you read that text, you're then going to go into, here's the text. There you go. So there's the text. After you read that text, you're then going to go back into Google Classroom and go up to the novel unit where it says, and you're going to open up two documents. You're going to open up themes in Charles and the First Rule of Punk, and you're going to open up the themes and support evidence, which are that's a document we've been working on through the week. So then the next thing is you're going to look at some of the themes we've discussed in the First Rule of Punk, and at first, Malu and the character from the novel or from the short story, Charles, may not seem to have a ton in common, but what they do have in common is that they both are sort of figuring out their place and fighting for their right to express themselves. And if you'll remember that earlier this week, we actually found a quote about that for Malu. So we will then go in. So you're going to be able to use that quote is the good news. So now we're going to go into the other document, which is the themes in the First Rule of Punk and Charles. So a couple of quick things. You've done an activity like this already. You did it last week where you were comparing Malu to Rufino Tamayo. So this document should look familiar. The one difference is that last week when I was having you do your quote, I was having you introduce your quote in the same box. This week I've just, I saw some confusion there. So this week I've just separated those two boxes out. So it's 7 boxes for a total of probably about 7 sentences, but no more than 10. So the first thing you're going to do, and everything's color coded, leave it my colors. So the first thing you're going to do is read the prompt. What themes does the text Charles by Shirley Jackson and the First Rule of Punk by Selena Perez have in common? So remember that everything underlined in this prompt has to be in your red topic sentence. You don't need to underline it, though, okay? So I'm going to go with that they're both kind of trying to find their own identities. So I need to say who the characters' names are, though. So my sentence, and you cannot copy this exactly, but my sentence says Malu in the First Rule of Punk by Cecilia Perez. And notice I italicized of Punk because it's the title of a book. And Lori in Charles, and notice I put Charles in quotation marks because it is a short story by Shirley Jackson, have in common that they are both trying to find their own identities. Something to that effect, okay? Notice I didn't underline anything. I did include authors' names. I did include character names. I correctly punctuated the titles, and I ended with a period, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the work I've already done, and I'm going to go into my themes sheet and just double check that the quote I did earlier this week matches the idea of what we're talking about. So the standing up for your right to express yourself. This is the quote that where Malu's talking about polystyrene, and I think it works. So I'm going to copy and paste it. So copy, paste, and I'm going to paste it right down here. Right now, I'm skipping this line, this box, and that's okay. So I'm getting my quote in. When I get my quote in, I'm double checking that my quote is correctly formatted. I have a sample right here, so it is my responsibility to make sure I'm doing it right. You don't have to do any highlighting. I have highlighted parts of these quotes to get your attention. So I'm going to start with a quotation mark. Then I have my quotes. I'm going to end with either a comma or nothing at the end of my quote. Either one's fine for now. And then I add my quotation marks, and then I put my page number in parentheses. No P, no word page, no PG, just the number. Okay. Well, now I have to kind of back it up and explain what's going on here, because remember, I'm pretending like my target audience does not know what either one of these stories is about. So I need to introduce it a little bit. So, and especially if I use this quote, because if you remember, the she in this sentence is actually polystyrene. It's not even Malu. So I really have to explain this to my reader. So Malu admired polystyrene because she was unique and fought for things most people didn't care about, right? So I'm making it clear to my reader that this is Malu writing about polystyrene. Okay, so I'm introducing the quote. So far, I'm not necessarily tying my quote back to the topic. I'm going to do that down here in the blue sentence. And that's what I'm going to do now. Malu admires people who fought for the right to be different because she also wants to have that right. So basically, I need to make sure that the words in my blue sentence show how this quote proves the point, right? Which is fighting for her own identity. So I think I've made that clear. So now I need to do the same thing for the story. So I'm going to go back into the story and find a quote. Now, because I am to prove my premise is that Laurie is misbehaving in order to kind of find himself, I need to either find a quote that shows him misbehaving, a quote that shows his behavior is unlike it used to be, or I could find a quote where the kids are all really like egging him on, so to speak, because what I'm showing through that is that he is getting attention that's helping him figure out who he wants to be. So I'm going to look. I have been told you can copy and paste from here. I wasn't able to. So if you can copy and paste, wonderful. Good for you. If you can't, just don't do a super long quote. Okay, so here we go. So now I'm going to go. The quote I chose was, his father's eyes widened. Okay, so remember, even his father is starting to respect him, unfortunately, and react when he's misbehaving. So I'm going to explain what's going on, because again, I'm going to pretend like my reader has not read the story. So Laurie is telling his father the bad word Charles made a girl say. Okay, and then I'm going to explain here how this relates to him finding his own identity. Laurie is getting attention with his behavior, and he's exploring if that is who he wants to be. Okay. Now, the next thing I'm going to check, if you're in class today, you're going to not do anything more. You finish this, you are done. You're not copying and pasting yet. Because then the next thing I'm going to do is you're going to double check that you have periods at the end of all your sentences, that all of your sentences start in a capital letter, that all your character names are capitalized because they're proper nouns, that the book title is italicized and correctly written. It's for you right here, so you have to get it right. That Charles, the short story title is correctly written. Again, it's right here for you. You have to get it right. I'm also going to double check that my quotations are correct. I have examples right here. Okay, so you need to make sure you get these right. I will take a look at these before you submit them the final time, but I am no longer going to give editing marks for periods or other end punctuation, capital letters. I'm just not going to. This is stuff you know, and you need to just do it. Same thing with the quotes. Please get them right. If you have a question, happy to ask you, or happy to answer it for you, but you have to try it. Okay, so if you are watching this and then because you've missed a couple days, then what you're going to want to do is go ahead and just then copy and paste all of this down into this box did before. So it would be like this. So copy and paste. And this becomes your actual paragraph response. Okay. Yes, I'm still here. Uh-oh. Sorry, guys. We want to be on here. Sorry. Okay. So, yeah. So you're just going to start copying and pasting now. And so it's going to be red, purple, purple, blue, and then purple, purple, blue. Okay. And I'm going to double check that my sentences have spaces, because if they don't, my teacher's just going to grade off. She's not going to let me correct that because I know to correct it myself. If I don't correct it, it's a choice I'm making. Okay, that's it. All right. I hope that helps. Have a great day. Bye.